There's a chance Boston College could beat Mizzou, but they're going to have to do these three things.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. This is your team every day. I'm the publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. Thank you all who have subscribed and liked our podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We are a daily podcast. We do this 5 days a week, and it's totally free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure you check those out. Now, I want to talk about this game this weekend. Boston College and Mizzou. The Eagles coming in at number 24 in the AP poll. Missouri, number 6. So it's going to be a tough sledding for a team that has not allowed a point all season and have outscored their opponents, which was Buffalo and Murray State, by over 80 points total. So this is not going to be an easy game for Boston College. But this is not a game that they are completely overwhelmed, I don't believe, where there's no chance that they can win this. I think there's a chance. They've got to do some things right. And on today's show, I'm going to give you 3 things that I think will be critical if BC has a chance to win this game. Now, if you've been following along on this podcast on YouTube, there's been a lot of Missouri fans, and I love it. So thank you. And if you're from Missouri and you're listening to today's podcast, I appreciate you checking out Locked On BC. Now, 3 things. Here's the first thing that I think Boston College needs to do, and that is control the pace of the game. Boston College, for the last, seems like 7-8 years, have thrived in controlling, having game clock control in many of the games that they win. They get these long drives that go on forever, and they keep opposing offenses on the sideline. That's going to be something that is incredibly critical here, because there's a few things to look at, right? If BC can't move the ball against Missouri's defense, who has not let up a point all year, this game could get ugly quick. You got to be able to get points. You need to be able to move the ball and get first downs, which, to Boston College's credit, they've been able to do for most of this season against Florida State and against Duquesne last week. They got to figure out a way. And I think this team has potential to do that. Thomas Castellanos himself has been a great, weapon in terms of picking up those third downs with his feet. We didn't get to see that last week against Duquesne because he didn't need to do it. But I'm thinking when you're playing a defense that is as good as Mizzou's is, or looks to be, that's going to be a critical factor there. He's going to have to move the ball at times with his legs. So we'll see more of that. But keeping those third downs short and manageable, that's going to be critical. Converting those third downs. They all kind of go into this overarching theme that I'm talking about here, where Boston College, they need to, they're going to get up to that line of scrimmage with 15 seconds after they shut off the headphones and slowly drive down the field. You're not going to see tempo. I would be shocked if Boston College got out there and started playing tempo, because when you play against teams that can be lightning quick, like the Tigers can with scoring, you get the ball to one of their 4 wide receivers, guy like Luther Burden, and he gets to, quick scores, that can make games get out of control fast. So BC can't do that. They're going to need to take long drives. And if they score quick, then they score quick. I mean, you're going to take points when you can get it. But the drives themselves need to slowly drain that clock. It's going to be a slog. And looking at the weather, there's a potential that that's going to fall right into Boston College's hands, because there's been it's over 4 days away. The weather reports are showing that it could rain on Saturday, and there's remnants of hurricanes possibly going through. We don't know what it's going to look like, but you saw what rain games can do for Boston College. Look at what it did for that SMU game last year. When it's slow and wet like that, that helps teams like BC. It's going to quiet down the crowd a little bit because fans hate being in the rain, and it slows down the fields. It just gets wetter and harder to run at full speed. So BC could have a piece of edge there, right? I think BC has done a nice job this year of putting together drives that do exactly what I'm talking about. Against Duquesne, it started off with a lot of those, and then by the end, it was just the dam broke and everyone was just scoring at will. But against Florida State, I thought there were a lot of drives where they were down to third down, and BC was able to do that. They were able to keep DJU from getting going, and now this is going to be a much bigger challenge. Missouri has a quarterback. We'll get into him later. That isn't as big of an issue as DJ was. Like DJ shot himself in the foot a lot. That was a big issue on him, but you're going to need to be able to stop Brady Cook by doing that. If you can make stops and keep your drives going, keep those drives chewing up clock, keep your defense fresh, keep Cook from potentially getting in rhythm. I mean, it may be a fool's errand to think that's going to happen, but it's the only chance you're going to get is if you can do that. So keeping this pace of game is going to be important. And that means a lot of the things that Bill O'Brien has been preaching, which means penalties, conversions on third down, executing, that's all going to have to come together in order for this to work. And so that's my first key. That's my first thing I think Boston College needs to do. Get Castellanos going, get those running backs. You got 4 good ones that you can do a lot with that can keep pushing Mizzou. And if this is going to be a great test on BC's offensive line, if they're as good as they've looked, they can battle here. And if they can battle, these drives can hopefully keep going. So that's our first one. We'll get in a moment. I'm going to give you a player that has to have a big game. There's no other way around it. We'll get into that in just a moment. Hey, Locked On Boston College fans. I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do. Ultimate College Football HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football team to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of Boston College? From recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships, you control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. Will you be able to handle the pressure? And here's what I really love about the game. You are responsible for calling offensive plays during the game. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. You can go play on the go and as you want or when you want. And of course, we have a special offer for Locked On Boston College fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as it will get your team off to a strong start. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com or look it up at the App Store. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. I love going to music, theater, comedy, and sports. They're just going out with my wife and enjoying a night is prime time. Gametime is a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. It filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. That's what I love. When you open up some of these sites, you get it's overwhelming with the amount of tickets sometimes that are available. Which is the best one? What's the good deal? Is it going to cost me more than I expect? With Game Time, it cuts all that out. With all-in pricing, you can toggle that on and find out which ones are that, so you can just find the best deal right there. You're going to get your seat view. So maybe you're going to the Boston Opera House and you want to get close to the action on stage. You can get your seat view, see where you're going to sit, and that takes all that guesswork out. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. Thank you all who have subscribed on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And I want to give a special shout out to my Eagles nesters out there. This is they're part of a program on Subtext where I send out videos. I send out texts about everything going on in BC. They got some injury updates today. It's you get a promo deal to try a couple weeks, but you basically you can get in for the price of a cup of coffee. And if you're looking to support the work that we do here, it's a great way to do it. Details are in the comments, the show description below. Make sure you sign up. Now we're getting into what BC needs to do to potentially pull off a big upset. They're a 15-point underdog. Obviously, the Vegas bettors don't think BC has much of a chance here, but they're 2-0 for a reason. And they've already shown that they can shock the world with a big win over Florida State. Can they make it 2? That's going to be the big question. Now, Thomas Castellanos, I need to get back into referring to him as Tommy because everyone calls him Tommy except me. Tommy Castellanos, this is going to have to be one of his Superman games where he does the things that make your jaw drop if they're going to win. We have when you go back to that game, I go back to SMU, Georgia Tech last year, even Louisville, where he looked like he was on another level. Those are the types of games that you hope can translate with a good team against another good team and win you games because that's what good quarterbacks do, right? You look at all the Heisman Trophy winners, there's moments they get that push them above and beyond other quarterbacks. And I'm not saying Tommy Castellanos is a Heisman candidate quarterback. I'm just saying he has this potential to do that, do big things. And he is special with some of the things that he can do. But he's going to have to be special in this game. I'm looking at this is a game where he's going to have big runs with his legs. And his throws are going to have to be really accurate, and he's going to prevent himself from making the mental mistakes. He has been awesome the first 2 games in not throwing the ball up in areas where someone could make an interception. He has, last year we saw it, he had 14 interceptions and more that could have happened. The hope going into the season with Bill O'Brien, Will Long, and others was that they'd fix some of that mechanics. And it looks like it's happened, but this is going to be a major test for him. Mizzou's defense is legit. And they're, as Lewis Bond, wide receiver, said today, their cornerbacks are tough and physical. It's going to be tough for them out there. But Castellanos, this is going to be a game where he has to be able to take control of things and be able to go pound for pound with Brady Cook, who's one of the better quarterbacks in the country, right? Or he has been. This will be something that it will be watching for. If he can't run the ball, if he throws multiple interceptions, or and gives Missouri the ball in plus territory, that's gonna be a major problem for Boston College. But think about what he could do. Maybe there's going to be those plays where he rips off a 40 or 50-yard run, or they're keying in on him on the run and he finds a wide open Lewis Bond. The potential for him to have that kind of breakout game where he gets national attention, I think it's there. I think the potential is there. Please don't go into the comment section, Mizzou fans, and say, AJ says that Thomas Castellanos is going to be a Heisman candidate. Blah, blah, blah. No. I'm just saying he has the skills to do a lot. And this is a potential game where it could happen. It could happen where, they're going back and forth and he just keeps making a big play to keep BC in this game. I could totally see that happening. And if you don't agree with me, you haven't been watching Tommy Castellanos enough because he has that it factor. The it factor that gets you to win in big moments. Now, he didn't have the support around him last year to do that in some of the bigger situations. He came dang close against Florida State, who was ranked 4th last year. And he did a lot of that on his own. I could see a well-coached Bill O'Brien team with Castellanos doing more, battling a Missouri. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Ask those guys right now. You ask the BC play teams in years past, Jeff Halfley, Steve Adazio, their mentality. I want to keep reiterating this because I think it's really important to understand where BC's at. The mentality under Adazio and Halfley was that we're underdogs and we're going to show the world and stun them by winning. And they played like underdogs. And sometimes they just got their heads kicked in because they were underdogs. Bill O'Brien's teams do not have that mentality. And that is so important to understand. They go into every game thinking they're going to win. They're not thinking that they're underdogs. They think they're going to win. They plan like they're going to win. So if they're planning like they're going to win, they give the mentality to a guy like Tommy Castellanos, who thrives on big situations. There's a chance that he could do some special things in this game. He's going to have to. If he has a pedestrian game, if Mizzou figures a way to bottle him up, BC's in big trouble. But if he can figure out a way to turn their aggressiveness and flip it and get big plays out of it, again, I go back to this is a key that of something that could happen that keeps BC in this game. Tommy Castellanos, big game. That's something I'm watching for. In our final segment, I'm going to go to the other side of the ball because that's going to be the biggest. I think it's going to be the biggest challenge is how does BC slow down a very potent Missouri offense? We'll get into that in just a moment. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So I can't, if you're in the state of Massachusetts, you can't bet on BC. But I was looking at Mitch Wolf, who's been on the show before, was looking at the odds, the season odds. If you got in at 4.5 wins over for BC, I bet you're feeling pretty good right now. Now it's up to 6.5 wins. So things have already started to shift for BC. Maybe you're thinking that they're going to continue to win. Get over to FanDuel, make that bet right now. Now, once you do that with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every single regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. You just need to visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. I want to recommend Locked On ACC. They have the squad that comes together, the big group of the hosts, talk about everything going on in the ACC. Recommend checking that one out. I know a lot of you guys did last week. As I said before, I can't be on it because they record at a time I just cannot do it. It's like in the middle of me doing like bedtime for my kids, and I can't move it around. I just can't. But check it out because they're really good. There's 6 guys talking ACC sports. It's on YouTube wherever you get your podcasts. Now, wrapping things up here on Locked On BC, just so we give you a little preview. Thursday, I'm going to do a crossover episode with Locked On Mizzou. On Friday, we'll do predictions and preview with Mitchell Wolf. Saturday, I'll do after the game. Lots of stuff going on here at Locked On BC. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like it wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. Now, the last piece I want to get into about potentially upsetting Mizzou, which if I say potentially upsetting Mizzou, Tiger fans, they get real mad. They get real mad. But it's part of a conversation here, folks. I'm not being unrealistic here to say there's some things BC could do. And if the ball, spins the right way, they could come out with an upset. They could also get beaten pretty badly. This Mizzou team is very good. And the reason they're very good, one of the big reasons is they got a great quarterback. They've got Brady Cook, who last year threw for 3,300 yards with 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and ran for 319 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he's done quite a bit. And he's hard to flush. He's thrown, just looking at last year, he threw 6 interceptions. But if you break it down, who intercepted him, he threw 2 against number 12 LSU. He threw 1 against Kentucky. He threw 2 against number 4 Georgia in their juggernaut defense, and 1 against number 17 Tennessee. So he only threw them against, basically, other than Kentucky, he threw them all against ranked teams. And LSU and Georgia are very good defenses. So he is a very hard quarterback to rattle. But that's what Boston College is going to have to do here. Is Tim Lewis, I think his defense took a little break from doing anything exotic last week so they could hide tape and not really put it out there of some of the things that they can do. But they're going to have to figure out how to rattle Brady Cook, force him to make quick decisions, and keep him in the and it's going to have to be box. What do they call that? Mitch knows about it, but keeping him in the pocket, like pressuring him in the pocket so he doesn't roll out, because he's obviously a good runner too. And if he gets loose, that's a bigger problem. So the pass rush, rattling him and making him make mistakes will be something that Boston College's defense has got to figure out a way to do. Because if he has all day, or if he's rushed and is able to get first downs with his legs, it's going to be very tough for Boston College to find a way to win this game. But when you get pressure, that causes turnovers, that causes incomplete passes. It can cause a lot of positive plays for the Eagles and something that they can do to potentially figure out a way to win this. So that is going to be key. How can BC how can they be able to get to Brady Cook? Because last year against the in terms of sacks allowed, Missouri was pretty mid. They allowed 26 sacks last year alone. It's hard to gauge what their offensive line looks like now. Mitch will be able to do more of this on Friday, but because they've only played Murray State and Buffalo, a MAC school and a FCS school, so it's hard to gauge. But that's going to be a big one. Can Donovan Azaraku, can Neto Ikpala, can BC find ways to get, you throw some weird looks at him with some odd blitzes and things like that. That's going to be a key. It's going to be a key. And I go back to this. I'm not sure where I'm putting BC in this game. I said I'm on day 2 of this because I have not said that BC is going to win, but I'm telling you some things I would expect that they need to do in order to win. On Thursday's show, we'll talk with Locked On Mizzou. We'll see what their thoughts are, how the season's going for the Tigers. They'll ask me questions. You'll get to hear all that. Make sure you like and subscribe at Locked On BC, wherever you get your podcasts. And check out Locked On College Football as well. It's another great podcast. There's so many great podcasts on this network. If you have not checked out some of them, find a team that you like. I know you like BC for football, college football, but they've got every pro team and every sport, I think, covered. So go check those out. See if you like those too as a second listen. But make sure you continue to listen to Locked On Boston College, your team every day.